Hello students, welcome to week 6 for COM 430. This week, as we explore communication research methods, we are looking more and spending a little more time on the research writing. So this lecture will provide you with some basic information or just some general information that you should keep in mind as you begin the research writing process for your critical assignment. This week we are reading Chapter 5 in the Creswell text that discusses the introduction and what you need to know about writing a research paper introduction, as well as we are reading the Cornelia text, Step 6 in your investigation, which is writing up your final report. Both of these chapters provide a plethora of very detailed information that will help you in the writing process. What you'll find from the reading and watching the videos this week and this lecture is that research writing or academic writing in this perspective is a little different than some of the things you may have learned in your English composition courses or other courses you may have taken. So with that, after you read the required readings, you're watching 3 videos as well as completing activity number 6. Discussion board number 6, which your original post is due on Friday and your replies are due on Sunday, and research activity number 4. Activity number 6 asks you to watch a video that's located in Blackboard. This is just an excerpt of the actual prompt. And once you're done watching that video, consider the differences between active and passive voice that are brought up in both of the course texts as well as this lecture. So what you're going to be doing is writing a reflection about active and passive voice after you have gone through all of the materials provided in the weekly module this week. So with that, you will look and discuss the differences between what active voice is compared to passive voice, where we use maybe both of them or only one of them in academic writing, as well as providing me with 2 key points from the chapter about active voice in academic writing. In addition, you will need to provide 3 examples of active voice, so you'll actually write 3 sentences that are utilizing active voice, and your entire reflection will be about 300 words. Do keep in mind that you do need to use APA citations and formatting for this activity. If you have any questions, let me know. In a nutshell, we're just spending some time on active and passive voice and providing some examples of active voice for academic writing. Discussion number 6 asks you to post the outline of your literature review that you already submitted. What you'll do is you will then conduct a peer review of 2 students' papers using the peer review checklist on page 113 of the Cornelia text. So the checklist provides you with pertinent information to provide constructive feedback to peers. What you'll find in the Academy is that peer review is a huge part of the scholarship process when it comes to scholarly research. For example, anytime I submit an article of mine to a journal or a journal for publication, it goes through a peer review process. I've also served as a peer reviewer. So essentially, when you get to the level of, if you are a professor and you're submitting scholarly work, or you're an independent researcher and you're submitting scholarly work, it's all reviewed by your peers. So it's very important in terms of meeting our course objectives that we spend some time on this week. So what you'll need to do is post your literature review outline that you already submitted in week 5. Pick 2 people's pick 2 people's literature reviews to conduct a peer review, and then provide constructive feedback. Do make sure you are using the peer review checklist on page 113 of the Cornelia text. It's really important that we critically review these outlines so we can help people make them stronger and get that outside perspective. But do keep in mind that as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, that we need to make sure that this is all constructive. There's not at any point that this should be demeaning or at all belittling to anybody. It needs to be critical, yes, and constructive, yes, but able to provide them with good insight as to how they can make their literature review stronger. So as you think of the discussion board guidelines, your posting your literature review is due no later than Friday. Sometime between Friday and Sunday, you'll spend time conducting peer reviews to at least 2 students' papers. If you have any questions, let me know. This should be a fun activity that allows you to apply some of your classroom skills outside of the typical way that we normally do this. So I'm looking forward to seeing the learning process in this assignment. Research activity number 4 is asking you to use the Creswell text, and it tells you that it clearly outlines the Creswell text on how to write a clear introduction. Creswell is the gold standard when it comes to introductory research methods course in terms of a course text. It's used, it's interdisciplinary, so it's used across multiple disciplines. In fact, most programs that can hold their weight in salt will use the Creswell text as a research methods text. So with that, it's very, very, very important that you really spend some time in this introductory chapter that tells you how to write a clear introduction. Creswell really, really provides very pertinent and valuable information on that. So after you've read through the text, it's important that you write your introduction to your research proposal, which is your critical assignment this week. You have enough information at this point to know, one, what you plan on proposing that you would like to research, and two, you have enough sources to be able to provide you with that information. Make sure you follow the guidelines laid out in the Creswell text. If you have any specific questions after going through that chapter, email me or set a time to meet with me. I have more than enough availability this week to connect with you if you need to. I'd love to chat about your introductions if you have any questions. Your introduction should be about 200 to 400 words. That's not one single paragraph. That can be that's obviously going to be multiple paragraphs, and it needs to be in full APA format and style. Now, as we get into some of the things related to academic writing, it's very important that we start to understand and know the differences between active and passive voice. Some of this may be very, very basic for some of you, and that's fine. You're going to breeze through the content this week with flying colors, and for some of you this may be new information, which is also okay, because this is the perfect point to learn this. So active voice really relates to the subject's verb explicitly. If, for example, an active voice sentence would be, I made a mistake. Passive voice would use a to be verb, so more of a linking verb, and a past participial, which means you would say mistakes were made. So we're speaking actively, we're not speaking in the past tense, in the sense that we're using a to be verb and a past participial. So using active language, unless passive voice is necessary for some type of cohesion or rhythm within your paper, which at this point is not, we'll use all disciplinary conventions, meaning active voice is the norm in academic writing. It's very important that you write in the active voice, that you shy away from doing anything that is passive in nature. So here are some examples. Captain Ahab's monamium drives him to pursue Moby Dick. Another example would be, previous studies demonstrate the importance of weather analysis. If we were to use passive voice, we would say the importance of weather analysis has been demonstrated. So it's important to know that we are clearly linking what it is we are looking at. So it's relating the subject to the verb explicitly and saying that the subject tells us, which is previous studies, the verb is demonstrate, is the importance of weather analysis. So it's really important to know that if we were to say the importance of weather analysis has been demonstrated, it's using that to be verb and past participial, which leads us into this passive nature of our writing. We want to stay very active in that. Another example here is if we look at one example of active voice and another one of passive voice. So if Alex is writing an essay on Alzheimer's, one thing that you could say in an active format would be Alex wrote the essay on Alzheimer's. So Alex is the doer of the action. The action is writing, which at this point is in past tense, is wrote, and the receiver of the action is the essay on Alzheimer's. Passive voice typically puts the receiver of action at the beginning of the sentence and the doer of action at the end. And so then that point, when we get into the point where we're actually putting the verb, it tends to move into that to be linking verb category, which we want to stay away from. So active voice tells us Alex wrote the essay on Alzheimer's. A passive voice sentence would say the essay on Alzheimer's was written by Alex. So in academic writing, we want to stay away from that. We want to put the doer of the action up in the beginning of the sentence to clearly let the reader know who it is that completed the action in the sentence, then link the action to that, and then put the receiver of the action after that. If we start to get away from that in that sense, then we move more into passive voice. So it's very, very, very important that you keep that in mind as you complete your writing this week. Another thing to look at is verb choice and usage. So verbs often determine clarity and descriptiveness within academic writing. We've talked about the to be verbs, linking verbs, and past participle conundrum when we get into passive voice. This same thing applies. You should avoid linking verbs whenever possible in academic writing. So you should avoid saying something as psychology is a field with a number of subfields involving child and human development. Rather, you should say psychology has a number of subfields. So we're being more active. We're taking more authority in what our language is. It's important to choose more precise verbs to shorten the sentences altogether. So we should avoid saying something to the nature of, this study is involved in asking whether we should continue our current national economic policy. Rather, we're getting too cumbersome in our words altogether, and we should just simply state what the study told us. It interrogates our current economic policies. That's it. And then we can expand on it from there. So we're taking a little more simplistic approach to how we construct our writing. When you look at this from that perspective, you will have to write more in order to meet word counts and things of that nature instead of being more cumbersome with our language. And it's a process that we're all learning, and it takes some time to really get to that point where it comes very naturally to us, and it's a very good point in your academic career that you're starting to learn this now in this type of course. Week 6 again tells us that we are reading, just to recap, chapters 5 in the Creswell text, step 6 in the Cornell text. We're watching 3 videos on writing introductions and improving our writing when it comes to writing research papers. You're completing activity number 6 by Sunday, discussion board number 6 no later than Friday with replies due on Sunday, and research activity number 4 on Sunday as well. If you have any questions, let me know. I really look forward to engaging with you this week, and I do have availability in my schedule to meet with anybody about anything that may be of concern to them or a point of where they wish instructor one-on-one time. Other than that, I pray you all have a blessed week, and I look forward to interacting with you throughout the week. God bless.